Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live presentation titled OPC and REST API. My name is Randy, and I am the presenter today. Once again, this webinar is titled OPC and REST API. In this specific webinar, we're going to be talking about programming OPC applications, the available toolkits, the pros and the cons, specifically the REST API toolkit that we have, and I will show you. Then we'll show you the requirements for both the client and the server. And then I will show you a live example with REST API where you will actually get to interact and try this with me. So you will actually be able to connect with your computer, with your phone, with your tablet, or your computer, and you'll be able to connect to me and you can see how you can read and write. At the very end, I'll tell you how you can get this webinar recording, how to get some quick setup videos, and an invitation to the next webinar. Spoiler alert, we're going to send you an email. In any case, let's go have a look at what's going on. First, what is the problem we're trying to solve? Well, OPC servers have your plant data from your controllers, from your processes. The OPC servers have the data you need. And people, of course, need this OPC data for supervisory control, for visualization, for storage, archiving, for analysis, for tracking, and on and on and on and on. So people need this. Now, it might be people, it might be systems, but how do we get this data from OPC? So in other words, well, there are many third-party tools available to do this, right? And if you have an OPC client, of course, you can get this. But now the question is, what are some other ways to get this that are not just with OPC? And I'll show you how to do that. So here, the question is, how are we going to get you the data that doesn't involve just OPC? Very specifically on the intranet or on the internet. Here's the architecture we're talking about. So we have a PLC right over here, and we have a PC. OPC Expert is running on this PC, and if you have an embedded OPC server, for example, we can get the data directly with OPC UA. Or if you have a different PLC, we can connect like this via an OPC server, either through UA or DA, but you can get the data into OPC Expert. So now the question is, how do you get it out? Well, as we've discussed many, many times, what you can do is get the data out with OPC UA or DA, but in this case, we'll do it with REST API, and I'll show you the difference in just a little bit. So with REST API, we're talking about computers running any operating system, on any browser, on any platform, hardware platform. So for example, phones or tablets, Android or iPhone or iPad OS, and so on. And of course, do any language that you want. Now, we'll show you JavaScript specifically, but of course, this can be any language. So this is where we're going, and I'll show you a more detailed view in just a little bit, but this is where we're going. And you'll actually be able to be here running JavaScript, reading from me, and writing back to me. I'll show you how this is done. So when you're programming OPC applications, of course, there are lots and lots and lots of OPC applications already available. But no matter how many are available, you still need custom or bespoke applications. That's why the programmers need to be there, and we need them to write these applications. So when you're developing, what are your options? Well, you can develop your own toolkit. Of course, you can do it yourself. You can use an existing free toolkit. Just go to GitHub and download whatever it is you want that's free. Or you can use the OPC Foundation toolkit, or you can use many of the commercial, or any one of the many commercial toolkits that are available that typically use OPC Foundation toolkit, or you can use REST API, plain REST API to get this done. And I'll explain what this is. So first of all, the pros and the cons. So what's the good and the bad stuff that's happening here? Well, the pros is these toolkits are typically very powerful, they're very configurable, and they enable developers to control every aspect of the system. And I'm giving them a lot of credits. Yes, there are less capable ones, but the more capable ones give you all the control that you would want. Those are the pros. On the negative side, number one, you've got to be a programmer to do this. And developers have to handle all OPC server subscriptions, errors, connection states. Remember, these are all stateful connections. What that means is, for example, I want to subscribe to data, and that works fine until I'm disconnected from the OPC server. Well, when I'm disconnected, I need to know, my program needs to know it's disconnected because I need to know that I have to reconnect to the OPC server. Also, my subscriptions aren't going to work. I can't just reconnect and the subscriptions work automatically. That won't happen. So I have to stop the subscription, connect, and restart the subscription, reset up all my items all over again. I have to do that as a programmer, and well, I have to handle all these events, and I have to take care of all the actions I'm doing when connecting to the OPC server, and that makes the development complex and time consuming. Well, this is one of the reasons why your programmers don't get things done in 5 minutes. It takes a little bit of time to do. So you've got to be a programmer to get this done. So there's REST API. I'll talk about this REST API. We'll start like this: REST, representational state transfer, and a REST API is an application programming interface, an API that conforms to the REST design. Okay, that's very, very nice. But what you probably already know about REST, and of course uses secure HTTP, so HTTP secure, and it's used in many industries. Pretty much every industry uses REST. I'm not necessarily talking about OPC Expert. I'm just talking about REST for all sorts of web traffic. It's used all over the place. And why? Because it's reliable and it's secure and it's relatively simple. So it's used, that's the reason people use it all over in industry, in commercial applications, home applications. They consistently use REST API. And these are all independent of the platform you're on, the hardware platform, the language you're using, the operating system, right? So you can put it, of course, on Unix, Windows, on Mac, anywhere you want. You can have web services even on small, tiny devices like ESP32. You can have web services even on Arduino. So they are very, very independent of the platform and the language you're using. And it's meant for a stateless operation. What does this mean? Stateless operation. So as a client, I no longer care if you, the server, are connected to the OPC server or not. More importantly, I don't even care about your state as such. So all I do as a client is I say, I want to subscribe to data. It's up to the server now to connect to its data sources and do everything it needs to give me that subscription. The server does not assume anything about me, and it just does what it needs to do, which makes it very, very simple for me as a client to write my code. I don't have to care if there's a disconnection or if there's a reconnection. I don't have to worry about reestablishing the subscriptions. I can just behave as if, oh, I lost my data. Oh, I'm getting my data again. So I don't have to care about any of that. And that makes it very easy to implement and to deploy. So to put it out there, quite easy. Let's talk about the requirements on the server side. So on the server side, what we're talking about is this one here. So this guy right over here. Now keep in mind, you might be connecting to OPC servers on PLCs, OPC servers on PCs, OPC, a whole bunch of different data sources, not just OPC, but maybe MQTT, whatever it is you want. But I'm talking about the requirement over here. So we're using Windows, so Windows XP to Windows 11, Windows 2003, all the way to Windows 2025. Why Windows? Because you already know how to do the administration. You already have these systems today. There is complete support for OPC UA and also for OPC Classic, and it runs as a Windows service, meaning as soon as your computer reboots, it starts immediately. So it's always running. It's automatic. There's no log on required. You don't have to put it in auto start. It's a service. It will start immediately with Windows, making it very, very reliable. And it manages all OPC server encryptions, connections, the subscriptions, the access control list, all of the security is managed by this server over here. So you can see the OPC security is down here. It's between this one and the OPC server or whatever data sources you have. Then up here, you can see HTTP and HTTPS for the security. So that's between the client and the server. So again, this is all on the server side. One more thing. Remember, you only need to open one incoming port. So just one port. You just need to open up one port. It's either 80 or 443 or whatever port you decide is necessary for you. It's completely configurable and you can decide what it's going to be. But only one port is needed to open here. Over here, you can open up as many as you want, as little or not, because remember, there's only one port opened right here. And of course, the security is all handled by this one here. And by the way, our next webinar is going to talk about setting up this security so you can understand how to apply security to add security to OPC servers that don't necessarily have it already. Okay, so this is all on the server side. Now let's talk about the client. Now I'm showing a cloud here, and I don't necessarily mean the cloud as in the internet. It's just something we don't really know what it is. So it could be your intranet, it could be the internet, it could be a computer, it could be a laptop, it could be it could be a phone, it could be a tablet, it could be a whole bunch of different operating systems. We don't know what it is. But on this side, we only need to open one port. Let's take a look at the client side. Now remember, the client side is completely free. This is code that you're running and it is completely free. And it can run on any platform, as I said, any language, any operating system. So if you want to do this in C, if you want to do this in Python, if you want to use JavaScript, if you want to use C#, whatever it is you want to use, you can connect to this guy right here via REST API. So it doesn't matter what operating system you're running, the language or the hardware platform, you can always make that connection. You can do this locally and or remotely. Locally, you can be on the same PC, you can be on the same intranet, so a different PC, but the same network, the same intranet, and also on the internet. This is pretty easy to develop, and I'll show you some examples, some JavaScript examples. You can see what is done, and I'll show you some automatic code generation. And of course, there are many, many built-in REST API examples, and you can get lots more on the web. Now, what's very interesting too is that it only uses one outgoing port. What that means is it's an outgoing port over here, meaning you do not have to open anything in your firewall. For example, when you are on your phone and you go to some website, you're never messing around with your own firewall. whatever website you're connecting to, they take care of their security. You don't have to worry about your firewalls. Nobody can come to you out of the blue. You're the one going out. So you don't have to worry about the firewalls on the client side. And you'll see that here because you'll be able to connect to me from your home, from your work. Guarantee you can connect, and you don't even need to change any of your security settings. All right. So let's take a look at the architecture. Now we're about to see the architecture here, and I want to remind you, we're going to, up until now, we saw this as a black box. We really don't know what's inside. So let's open it up, shine some light in it, and we'll make it a white box. So we'll see what modules are inside. So again, everything I'm going to show you is included inside OPC Expert. So we begin with an OPC UA client and a DA client. So you can see OPC UA and OPC DA clients. Those are modules included inside, which means OPC Expert can ingest data via OPC UA and OPC DA, bring that data into OPC Expert's intelligent engine, and from there, they can go to REST API. So there's that REST API server. All of this is inside OPC Expert. What this means is if you have a UA data source or a DA data source, it'll come out here via REST API. It's now available via REST API. So immediately what you see is a DA to REST API converter, or UA to REST API converter. And of course, you can read data this way, and you can also write data. You can do that backward if you allow it. And I'll show you examples where you may allow it and you may deny it. So you can give somebody read access or read write and so on. Okay, now that's not it, because there's also a DA server and a UA server. So again, what this means is if you bring in data with DA, you can make it available to somebody with UA. So the conversion is built into the software. It's built right in. DA coming in, and UA going out. UA going in, DA coming out. It's a DA server this way, UA client this way. So it works both ways. Or you want whatever combination. All right, but there's also MQTT here. So for those of you that understand MQTT, there's a built-in MQTT broker. There's also a complete pub subsystem with an MQTT publisher and an MQTT subscriber. So again, what you're seeing is MQTT to REST, MQTT to UA, MQTT to OPC DA. So you can easily do that, or of course, the reverse. So you can go UA to MQTT and so on. So all of that is built in. Now, of course, you have a whole bunch of information in this intelligent engine right now. So naturally, what we might want to do is send that to a database. So there we go. So we can send this data to Microsoft SQL or OPC Expert's own CSV, or you might want to send it out to the cloud, to Azure or to Amazon Web Services and so on. Remember, since there's also stored data over here, OPC Expert also supports a history client. So there's OPC HDA, Historical Data Access, that's OPC Classic, and OPC UA HA to get history. Also OPC Alarms and Events for OPC Classic, or OPC Alarms and Conditions if you're using OPC UA. And all of this data, both real-time and historical, can even be made available directly to Excel using the real-time data server. So all of this is included inside OPC Expert. All of this is included inside OPC Expert, all of these modules. And in this specific webinar, once again, what we're focusing on is these three modules right here. So these three modules are the ones we're focusing on in this specific webinar. Okay, so now, once again, now that you see these three specific modules, let's go have a look at the solution architecture here. So in this case, once again, we've got a PLC, and there's the PC, and there's OPC Expert, And if this guy has an embedded UA server, you can connect directly to it. But if it doesn't have an embedded UA server, you can connect to a third-party OPC server, so UA or DA, and bring that data in. So whichever way, whether you're connecting UA or DA, you can bring that data in. Once that data is in here, and again, remember, that's using that OPC UA and OPC DA, those two modules. Okay, once the data is in here, we can send it out. So that means that there's a UA server in here, a DA server, as I showed you, a REST server, and so on. Let's just talk about this for just a moment. So if you want to go out with UA, you need to have a UA application running on some computer somewhere. So this can be anything, Mac OS, Unix, Windows, but this is a UA client, and you can do that with any client. Any client you have will grab data from OPC Expert. They all will. Or if you prefer, you can go with REST API to some web application that you wrote or you have, or REST API to your phone or to your tablet, or again, REST API to some other computer, maybe Linux running Python or Java or whatever it is you want, or if you want to write that application with C++, knock yourself out. So all of that is available. Now, in this specific webinar, what we're talking about is not just using any language, but I will show you a specific example with JavaScript. And what that means is all these applications will be JavaScript, right? So assume you're going to write something over here with JavaScript, just like this. These are now JavaScript applications. So this is now REST API. So this is what we had before. This is now REST API. And what was some applications, now an application written in JavaScript. Okay, so there we go. And again, you can see the platforms are all still exactly the same. And that is the demonstration that I will show you right away. If you have any questions on this or what we're trying to do, please go ahead and ask, and I will show you exactly what's going on. All right, so let's go have a look at this. So I will put on my computer. So there we go. Now, notice the IP address, that's actually where you're going to be connecting. So you'll be connecting to this one, not with remote desktop, but you'll be doing this with your clients, with your browser actually. So here's the computer. There is OPC Expert. Now you notice that nothing is running here. I've got nothing running. And I also want to impress on you a little, well, I'll start up OPC Expert, so I'll get it going. Here it is, it's running, it's just getting set up for the very first time. And one thing that I want to draw your attention to, so let me just put this on the side. I want you to take a look at this. You see, look at this computer. And maybe this might impress you even more. We're talking about a pretty slow computer. It's got 2 processors. We're not talking about having 12 or 16. 2. It's almost nothing. The memory, we're talking about 4 gigabytes. So we're talking about 4 gigs, not talking 8, not talking 16 or 32, which is probably what you have in your computer. This is a very, very low-end computer. There's not much to it. You can see the CPU. So this is what's going on. Again, what I want to impress on you is this is a low-end computer. There's nothing that's particularly high-end about this. And the reason I'm showing this is it's not difficult to show you something that works on a super fast, super duper computer. That is not this computer. So you can easily use your computers. All right, so there is OPC Expert. This here is the GUI. This guy here is this one down here. It's a little helper application for OPC Expert. All right, so here, let's go have a look. First thing I'm going to do, just to show you, is we'll go into servers and services. Normally, I don't do this because they get set up automatically, but I will turn on the REST API server. Click that on. You'll notice that it's automatically enabled, and OPC Expert UA server automatically runs as going to run as a service. When I click OK, watch over here. So these are going to be set up. I'll just move it up a little bit. There we go. And here you see OPC Expert UA server. It's getting set up, and there is that REST API server. So it's getting set up right now. Now, how do I know it's set up? Because right over here, I see that nobody's connected to me. And the reason you guys aren't connected is nobody knows where to connect to. Now I will show, oh, okay. Actually, sorry, before I show you anything with the HMI, I'm gonna do this. The very first thing, just to do something simple, I'll connect to an OPC server right over here. Oh, there we go. And I will subscribe to data. So you can see I'm subscribing to this data. And what I want to do is publish this data to make it available for you. I will right click it and I will go to HMI. In here, you can see and watch what I'm doing because you'll be doing the same thing right away. So here I will log on as, I can do anonymous or I can do a particular user. And I'll tell you the difference right away. If you're going to pick a user, the username is OP. And don't worry about a password. We don't have to put in a password because that's the way we set it. And you can go to login. Okay, so once you're here, you can see here's the data we subscribe to right over here. And I'm immediately publishing it on the internet to you. So if you take your phone right now, and I don't care what phone you have, if it's iPhone or if it's Android or whatever you have, take this QR code and watch what happens. So use your QR code and watch what happens here. Go ahead and I can see, oh, look at that. There's the number of connections. So you guys are already connected to me. Let's just make it a bit simpler. Here we go. So I can see that I've got 9 connections. And now you should be able to see this data. So look, just like that, I've got data in an OPC server. Bam. I'm publishing it to you, even on the internet. And what changes did I make? Nothing. Now, what's cool is, again, what you will see is this. Let me just log out a moment. You'll see this. So you can log on as anonymous. And if you do that, you don't need to put in a username and password. That's anonymous. And you can see this. You will see this. But you won't be able to make changes. If you log out and you log on as this particular user with user OP, like operator, OP, no password, log in, and you should be able to see this. Now, in here, I'll put this. And now you should see I love OPC in your browser. And check this out. We've got 24 connections right now, and you should all see I love OPC, and you can even see this inside OPC Expert. And if you click in there, you'll be able to change the text and do it yourself too. Hang on, just move this over a little bit. There we go. Now you can see both of these. So if I can get somebody to make a change in there, then we're going to see exactly what's going on. Me too. Okay, looks like somebody put that in. And you can see that this is, I love OPC, me too. Okay, Good. So you guys are getting it. So that's you guys writing this. I don't know where you are. We'll have some more fun with this. Check this out. Okay. So you can see this here as well. So this is in here. Oh, hi from Houston, from Boston. There we go. All right. So this is coming. Okay, great. Now let's do this. I'm going to close. I won't close it. I will go here and check this out here. I'm going to go to localhost, which is just me. So I'm going to localhost and I'll log in as a user, OP. And here's what you're going to see. So, folks, if you're using a phone, go ahead and just scan this QR code. If you're on your computer, go ahead and put in this URL right over here. Then you'll get over here. And I can see I've got 26 connections. Look at this. Somebody just wrote over here. So if you click this button, you will actually see data changing. And that's you doing it. It's not me. This is coming from you guys. So that is coming from you guys. And again, username, you can use OP and a password of nothing. And as you can see, people are writing to this. And look, somebody's changing the flow. So if you want to change these, just move this, just like this. We can see we have 30 connections right now. By the way, check out my CPU here. Almost nothing. The 30 connections. Is this making sense, folks? And again, what's neat here is that if you are connecting as a as user OP, if you're connecting as user OP, you can read and write data. If you're connecting as user anonymous, you will only be able to read data. You will not be able to write because you're not allowed. So you can see that people are making some changes. And look, the message here, somebody already changed it to yes. And I'll say, okay, yeah, this is fun. Right? So you can make these changes, and I can change it as well in here, or you can make changes. And that's you guys making changes and not me. Hopefully, you're understanding what's going on here. And you even have the power on your system. You even have the power on your system to create and edit this. You can't do it from your side because you're disabled. Nice. You're disabled from your side, but I sure can because I am allowed to. So I can go to over here and I can make changes, but I'm not going to now. Cool. Now, I want to show you. So what I showed you is how you can very easily publish this data. So I showed you how to publish this data here, and you can still see it running over here. So you can still see it running over here. You can go to, again, you can go to this. Looks like we got 20 connections, so we lost a few, but good. This is excellent. So now let me show you some code generation, how you can automatically generate code. So if you're going to write your own client, here's how you can do it. So for example, I take this data, let's take turbidity as an example. I will go right click. So it's a right click, REST API command, generate code snippet, and I will read and I'm going to do this in JavaScript. So it's now in my, it is in my clipboard, and I can paste it, and there we go. And you can see there is the item I chose right in here. Or I can also do the same thing, but this time I will do the same thing. Oh, REST API command, code snippet to read, but this time I'll do it in Python. Oh no, I switched to Python. Okay, Control V, and there we go. Same thing in Python, and you can see turbidity. And if I want to use a different item, I can do that. Now keep in mind, this is just turbidity, that's one item. And if you want to do multiple items, so here I have 5 of them, I will go just like that. So I want to do multiple items, generate code snippet to read, and I'll do this again in Python as an example. And I will paste. And now you can see, check this out. So we can see all these different items. There's note, and there's nails, and all the rest of them here. There's turbidity at the end. To get automated troubleshooting, everyone, you can download OPC Rescue or OPC Expert to get some troubleshooting. If you download OPC Expert, which by the way you can do right now, and you can get this very same version I was using. We can get back to the version number you can see, but you can trend, you can bridge, tunnel, you can do this conversion. Remember, we talked about all this conversion, archiving, calculations, redundancy, connect to Excel, OPC specifications, right? There's MQTT and Spark-Plug-B. So lots of very, very cool stuff. In this particular presentation, we talked about OPC and REST, specifically REST API, but all of this stuff is all available for you. Okay, to get more hands-on learning, come to one of our hands-on classes, earn your certified OPC professional designation, where you learn how to configure DCOM, OPC Classic, and OPC UA. You learn how to troubleshoot these OPC systems and learn how to properly secure these systems. And of course, learn OPC best practices. So you will learn that. The learning style is pretty cool. You fix things, you set things up, then we break them, then you fix it, then we break it. So we go back and forth. You fix, we break, and you learn exactly how to troubleshoot and to diagnose these systems. So you get 2 computers, you configure them yourself, and you troubleshoot problems. It's really, really neat, very interactive, very similar to what we did here, but you actually get your own computers. So really neat stuff. Upcoming workshops. So these are live remote classes. Remote, which means there's no travel. It's a live instructor. They're very, very interactive actually. So this is the learning environment. These are public classes, so not just your company, but people from many different companies. But if you want, we can do one specifically for your company in a private session. Now, the dates you can look at opcti.com. One last slide. And of course, we also do this, just so you know, we also do this on site. So we're going to send you an email. And I think the email will either will probably come actually on Monday, but there's a link if you want to learn more about REST API, or you can just use this QR code right now. So we're going to send you an email with a link to this webinar recording. You will get a link to download OPC Expert, the very same OPC Expert I used right here, and you can actually try these examples here. And you'll get a link to some OPC and REST API examples, as well as an invitation to our next webinar, which is going to be on OPC Security Gateway. So that's going to be on the 2nd of April, so in just a few weeks. And we're going to show you how to apply security to all of this. I showed you a little bit. I gave you a little bit of a hint. We saw 2 different users, one called Anonymous, one called Op, OP, operator. So you saw that one user was able to read and write. The other user was not able to write, but was able to read. So you can actually set this up yourself. And in this webinar, and the Security Gateway will show you how to configure for OPC UA security and also this REST API stuff. Really neat stuff. If you have any questions, please send us an email, info@opcti.com, give us a phone call, or come and visit the website. So the website right over here. All right, everyone. I will get to your questions right away here, but in case you have to go, I wish you good luck, best luck in your projects, and I hope to see you at our next webinar on the 2nd of April. Thanks again, everybody.